Smartphones aren't getting faster in ways you can actually feel anymore, and that's exactly why the next big smartphone war won't be about performance at all. It'll be about experience. And quietly, almost awkwardly, Google looks like it's setting itself up to win that next phase. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. Here's the thing, we're already living in a post-performance smartphone era. A mid-range phone from 2 years ago still runs fine, still gets updates, still opens apps fast enough that you don't think twice about it. Speed has become invisible. You only notice it when it's missing. That means throwing more power at phones isn't exciting anymore. It's just expensive. And that's becoming a real problem because AI hype is pushing hardware costs way up. Memory prices are exploding, chip supply is tightening, and flagship phones are staring down two ugly futures. Either they get more expensive or they stop meaningfully improving. Neither is great for consumers. This is where a really interesting idea comes in, one that Nothing co-founder Carl Pei openly talked about. His take was blunt. Smartphones are either going to get boring or about 30% more expensive. The only escape is focusing less on specs and more on a distinct, user-focused experience that actually feels different to live with. And honestly, that argument checks out. Think about the phones you've used that you couldn't wait to stop using. Usually, it's not because they were slow, it's because the experience felt bland. No smart shortcuts, no thoughtful features, no sense that the phone understood how you actually use it, just Android existing. This is something Apple figured out years ago. People mocked iPhones for specs on paper, but Apple built its entire strategy around user experience, the ecosystem, the way devices hand tasks off to each other, the feeling that everything fits together. Once you're in, it's comfortable, and that comfort keeps people loyal. Samsung learned this lesson too. That's why it didn't just ship stock Android, it layered features on top, things like DeX, deep multitasking tools, and hardware-software combos you can't replicate elsewhere. Love it or hate it, Samsung phones do things. That's the real shift happening right now. In a post-spec world, hardware and software have to be designed as a single package. The phone has to feel good to hold, feel good to use, and feel like it belongs to something bigger than itself. AI gets talked about as the next big leap here, the idea that you'll just talk to your phone and it'll do everything for you without apps or tapping. For now, the interface still matters, a lot, and most phone makers are doing surprisingly little to rethink it. Which brings us back to Google. On the surface, Google's phones are fine. Clean Android, soft colors, simple widgets, but they don't do much. When you strip features away, bugs become more noticeable, friction stands out more, and there's less to latch onto if you actually enjoy digging into tech. But underneath that minimalism, Google is quietly experimenting with something bigger. Features like Magic Queue already hint at it. Devices communicating with each other, predicting what you want to do next, and moving tasks between screens without you asking. It's rough, inconsistent, and sometimes random, but the idea is there. And then there's the real bombshell, Aluminium OS. If this actually ships the way it's rumored, Aluminium OS will merge Android and Chrome OS into one adaptive platform. No hard line between phone, tablet, or laptop. Just one environment that reshapes itself around what you're doing and where you're doing it. That's huge, not because it's flashy, but because it reframes the smartphone entirely. The phone stops being the center of everything and becomes a flexible node in a larger system. That's the kind of shift that actually makes hardware stagnation irrelevant. The catch? Timing. Aluminium OS may not fully arrive until 2028, with limited testers seeing it sooner. And when it does arrive, it's going to shake up Google's relationships with partners like Samsung in unpredictable ways. But one thing feels clear. The next smartphone revolution won't be about speed, megapixels, or benchmarks. It'll be about who builds the most coherent, comfortable, human-feeling experience. And for the first time in a while, Google looks like it might finally be thinking in the right direction. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.